Well, hey folks, it's your old pal, King Waspinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. It's been a minute since I've done one of these videos of just me talking off the cuff without any editing trickery and other bits of woo-ha to throw in there just to kill time and fill time and all that sort of self-aggrandizing nonsense. And so the subject of today's video is going to be some more self-aggrandizing nonsense. Wizards of the Coast won the battle. They not only did they win the battle, they've basically have struck a death blow to this community. I'm speaking anecdotally, of course, but as someone who likes to observe humanity and just kind of keeping an ear on the ground as to how, various sub-factions of the community are now realigning and starting to pull the knives out. If you harken back to some of my earliest vids after the whole OGL controversy started, I said one of the options and paths forward was that the Red Dawn scenario where everyone just kind of runs up to the hills in their own little camps and bides their time until normalcy can return in 3 to 4 years to the hobby. And I guess, so that's where we are. And so, this has never been a D&D channel. I do videos on the subject from time to time, and they do tend to get good views, but I do not consider myself a Dungeons & Dragons influencer. Ultimately, as I've always been quite upfront about, this channel is to build an audience of people who might be interested in buying some of my books. By talking about subject matter that people who might like in my books might also, draw them to, this guy, I like his opinions on such and such, I'll check this out. That kind of a thing. That's, from the get-go, that's been the conception of why this channel exists. And that's why I talk about a broader variety of role-playing game subjects than just Dungeons & Dragons, and also occasionally veer off into subject matter that's only tangentially related to the hobby itself. But, there are a lot of things about history and philosophy and, unfortunately, human social relations that, we do have to think about, especially as dungeon masters. And I tend to address my audience as if I'm assuming you're dungeon masters and game masters because, dungeon masters and game masters are the people who buy these products. Me talking to potential players of Expedition to Ancient Egypt won't sell a goddamn copy now, will it? Talking to people who might be interested in running that game, on the other hand, by, talking about subject matter that draws the right kind of people in, that's the game that's going on here. Now, Wizards of the Coast is having or I guess already had at this point, their influencer summit, where, they paid a bunch of YouTubers and bloggers and such to fly out to Seattle for an all expenses paid trip. Get some inside access and get to be privy to their plans, to use them to influence people into calming down and thinking that D&D is cool again, because in part of striking a death blow to the community in the way that they did, it was a bit of a Pyrrhic victory, shall we say. And as much as the inevitability of one D&D and the success of Honor Amongst Thieves seems to be, presented to us, that's all a product of their advertising and them just flexing their muscles. One D&D can fail. Wizards of the Coast can fail. All it needs is a little bit of solidarity on our part. But that's why I say the community is dead, because there's that moment of solidarity is gone. And now everyone's kind of been rearranged somewhat. The old standard model, how we used to break up the community into subsections on the great pie chart of life, the OGL thing cracked that and shattered it. There was a moment there for a few weeks of an amount of crossover between people of different political factions that we've never really seen in this community. And it was beautiful for that brief amount of time, but it's gone. And unfortunately, old ways and habits set right back in, and I'm not sure it's ever going to come back. But anyway, I guess my proposal is what this video is you can consider it my Total Party Skills Influencer Summit. I'm not going to fly you out anywhere for an all expenses paid anything. In fact, it's going to be somewhat incumbent on you to buy one of my books to review them. But, there's a trick. We've seen it in movies. We've seen it in real life, where you can kind of trick a crowd into believing something just by having a certain mass of people peppered in the crowd to cheer on something or mention something at just the right moment, and then suddenly the crowd's all like, what? That thing's important and cool, we better go check it out. Well, I need you. Basically, I guess the simplest thing to do is go on DriveThruRPG, where you can get it the cheapest in PDF form and not have to wait for it to print copy, and just get yourself Stewards and Obstacles, and then review it on your channel. That's it. If I get enough people doing it, it'll stir up enough interest in other people. You can be honest about it. I don't need you to run it. I mean, the thing's a joke. You're getting your money's worth, one way or the other. You get the entertainment value out of getting to read the thing, and then you get whatever value you place into having subject matter for a YouTube video. If you don't do YouTube videos, hey, maybe now's the time to jump in and do something simple. All you need is a critical mass of people to draw attention to something that you can potentially entice the greater mass around them to turn and look at the thing. And if the thing in particular is severely roasting Wizards of the Coast, I don't know. I don't know what else could get everyone back on board on the same page except laughter. And so I guess that's my message to you, my potential influencers. Let me influence you to influence others. The old-fashioned way, organically, because you want to, because it's right, because it's the American thing to do, or whatever country you're living in, whatever you need to get your little patriotic mind around and make you feel like you're doing the right thing for society and the future of humankind. By telling people to play Stewards and Obstacles, the adventure module that allows you to play stewards of the world's most inclusive role-playing game to fight hateful content and fully monetize your players. If there isn't a time for this particular subject matter, that's not right now. I don't know. Anyway, I guess that's about it. Until next time.
Stewards and Obstacles. The only tabletop role-playing game adventure that allows you to take on the role of stewards of the world's most inclusive role-playing game to fight hateful content and fully monetize your players. For use with the Total Party System Rules Handbook.